3, 2, 1.
When you misbehaved as a child, how would your mom react? Would she ground you, take your phone away, pull out the hot sauce? Cause my mom had a more embarrassing way of disciplining me when I was a child. And every time I tried outsmarting her as a child, it would always end with me getting punished. But there was one really bad thing I did as a child that she never found out about. So today, I recorded myself finally telling her what I did, and I'll show you her reaction later on in this video. But before we get there, we gotta talk about my mom's wild punishments. So growing up, every kid had that one friend. The friend whose parents just let him. No bedtime, no screen time limit, no rules about food. I had a friend exactly like that growing up, and I used to be so jealous of him. I remember sleeping over at his house once and just being stunned. His mom asked us what we wanted for dinner. Yes, asked us, instead of just whipping out the crock pot and making whatever stew she felt like that evening. And when my friend said he wanted to eat candy for dinner, his mom just went, okay. So I thought he was living the dream. But here's the thing I didn't understand until I was much older. The reason his house had no rules wasn't that his parents were cooler, they were just different. And because my mom had a lot more rules when I was younger, I got punished a lot for disobeying these rules. But there's one specific time where my mom punished me in such a terrifying way that I genuinely tried running away from home the next day. But then I got hungry and went directly back home. That's not an exaggeration either. Like, the thing she did that I'm about to tell you is genuinely psychotic. Still love you though, Mom. But this is what happened. So every kid had a bedtime growing up, and every kid did not want to obey that bedtime. For me, I could just never fall asleep at 9 o'clock no matter how hard I tried. And I would be so bored in bed. So eventually, I found a way to cure that boredom with my iPad. The rule in my house was that at bedtime, the iPad went away. And every single night, I broke that rule. I smuggle it into bed, bury it under the blanket, and play in the dark like a little goblin hunched over a glowing screen. Hours would pass when I was supposed to be sleeping and I was actually playing on the iPad. And of course, my mom would come check on me, but I got good. I would hear her footsteps coming from the other end of the house, and the instant I heard those, I slid my iPad under my pillow and I'd roll onto my side doing the fake sleeping pose. I'd even add some fake snores to really sell it. She'd crack the door open, see her innocent little angel sleeping, and quietly close the door again. And the second that door shut, the iPad came right back out. I ran this operation flawlessly for months. But one evening, my mom announces that she's heading to my aunt's house for the night. She tells me she won't be back until morning, but to make sure I go to bed on time. And then she leaves. I hear her car start in the garage. I hear the garage door go up and then back down. She is officially gone. And in my head, this is awesome. There's no one to check on me now. No footsteps to listen for. I can play my iPad as long as I want, stress-free tonight. So I get into bed and pull out the iPad. I'm playing for about 5 minutes, but that's when I hear it. A sound from under my bed. It's not the house creaking. It wasn't the wind outside. It was a real, undeniably human sound coming from the floor directly beneath me. And everything in me goes cold because my first instinct is that
there's a serial killer under my bed, obviously.
But what was actually under it was much more terrifying. Because with the iPad still glowing in my hands, I look down toward the side of the bed to see what's under it. And a hand comes out, and then an arm. And then from underneath my own bed, in the dark, my mother slowly drags herself out onto the floor. She gets up onto her feet and looks me dead in the eyes. She never went to my aunt's house. She made the entire thing up. The announcement, starting the car, raising the garage door, pulling out, the whole thing. And then she came back inside the house, snuck into my room, and got under my bed. And she stayed there in silence for who knows how long. Do you understand how insane that is? If I just described to you the details of the story, like how she snuck into a small, uncomfortable area and waited there for hours in complete silence, you would think this was a Navy SEAL mission, not my mom trying to catch me in the act of playing on the iPad after bedtime. I screamed when I saw her. Obviously, like a person literally just came out of the floor. But when she stood up, she didn't yell. She just went, "Give it to me." I placed the iPad into her hand without saying a single word, and she left. From that night on, the iPad slept in her room. I was shocked. I expected her to scream at me when this happened, but she didn't. She kept her voice real calm, which was surprising because everyone's mom has two voices. A voice they use at home and a voice they use in public. And they are completely different. At home, my mom could use a voice that would scare the pants off you. Literally. Like, I'm not wearing pants right now. I'm not joking. You want me to prove it? No. Nah, I am joking. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I guess you'll never know. But it was funny because the second another adult was close by, whether that was at the grocery store, at a friend's house, at church, she would transform. She went from
Tyler, do your laundry
to
Tyler, sweetheart, can you do your laundry when you get home, please?
So when I was younger, I thought because my mom would always use her sunshine and rainbows voice in public, that meant I could never be punished or get in trouble when we were around other people. So I started to push it. I'd misbehave in public more than I would at home because I thought I could get away with it. But one day, I pushed it too far. My mom was grocery shopping, which I hated doing with her because it was so boring. So on this day, I was talking back to my mom. I was just being way more mean than I should have been. And she's taking it like,
Tyler, you're not being very nice, sweetie. Daddy.
But then I said a magic sentence that changed everything. On this day, I was so moody, so bratty, that I said to her,
I wish I had different parents.
When I said this, she didn't snap. She didn't even tense up. She just turned to me, smiled, and went,
Tyler, we're gonna have a conversation about this when we get home.
But she said this in a voice I've never heard before. This time, it was even higher pitched, as if she was trying to sound more innocent. And when I got home that day, she screamed at me for misbehaving until I cried. And it was in that moment I realized
The sweet voice
was actually scarier than her at
Home voice.
The higher her voice went, the worse the punishment would be when we got back home. This was when I realized that my mom never punished like a normal parent. A normal parent yells, takes things you like away for a while, and eventually she'll give it back to you. But with my mom, if you had something that was causing you to misbehave, she would simply take it away from you for good. The clearest example of this is the door on my bedroom. Because every kid, including you, has probably been guilty of this same thing. You get angry, you go to your room, and you slam that door hard. And the moment that door slams, you almost always regret it and think,
I just slammed that way too hard, didn't I?
well, my mom got tired of me doing this whenever I'd get mad. And one day, I slammed the door so hard, it practically shook the house. So I'm expecting my mom to come bursting into my room. But instead, nothing. And that was almost more terrifying than if she did storm into my room. But this didn't mean I got away with it. No. Because I came home from school the next day, went to my room, and my door was gone. Not open, not propped against the wall, just gone. Lifted clean off the hinges and relocated to somewhere I'll probably never find out. This caused a lot of problems because when you're a kid, you want to have your privacy. And I no longer had any of that. But it was all my fault. Whenever I did something wrong, I'd still be angry and want to slam something. So I'd go to my room and I would just start punching my SpongeBob pillow. Poor guy looked like he got hit by an atomic bomb by the time I was fully grown up. My mom taking my door away made me so angry. But me tricking her and filming her reaction to it in the story I'm going to tell you a little bit later on in this video makes up for all those times she outsmarted me. And me losing my door made one thing very clear to me. My mom saw everything. But also, she knew when I was trying to trick her, which made it very hard to not go to school when I didn't feel like going. You know how it goes. You wake up wanting to do anything but go to school. So you hold your stomach, go to your mom and say, I don't feel so good, Mom. And then you wait to see if she buys it. And most parents will just be like,
Oh, okay, let's have you stay at home and get some rest.
but my mom was aware of how these games worked, so she never folded. Just saying I felt sick wasn't good enough to fool her. But she also never once called me a liar. And that is exactly what made her dangerous. She'd look at me when I'd say I'm sick and just be like,
Okay, stay home from school then.
and every kid hears those words and thinks they've won for about 4 seconds. Because what you don't realize yet is that staying home sick in my house was not a day off. No, because in my mom's eyes, she thought that,
If you're too sick for school, then you're too sick.
which meant you would spend that whole day with the lights off in bed. She wouldn't even let me go onto the couch. She wouldn't let me turn on a television, no video games, no going outside. And for meals, I got plain toast and a bowl of steaming bone broth. I didn't even know what bone broth was. Matter of fact, I still don't really know what it is. Hey chat, what is bone broth made out of? You're useless. You're useless, bro. And my mom never once accused me of lying about being sick, even if she knew I was lying. Because instead, she just made staying home from school sick so boring that my body would stage a miraculous recovery and all of a sudden, I'd want to go to school. One time she even took it a step further when I had a test, so I needed an excuse to stay home from school. I told her I felt sick and she laid one hand on my completely room temperature forehead. She nodded slowly and then said,
Yeah, your temperature is really high. We should probably cancel your birthday party this weekend then.
30 minutes after she said that, somehow I was healed. And the thing about losing all these battles to my mom, like being sick, losing my door, is that they were all the same lesson. She would make the punishment not worth committing the crime. But I didn't really learn this until I was forced to clean my room. Now, every kid has heard your mom say,
Clean your room, son.
and every kid has also replied by just shoveling all their stuff into a corner or under the bed to make the room look clean, even though it really wasn't. My mom got tired of me doing this. So one day, she stopped asking me to clean my room. And instead, she tried something new. And it was this. Anything I leave on the floor became hers. That didn't mean she would take it away for a little bit. No, she would take it away forever. If I left a shirt on the floor, it went into a black trash bag. And if I wanted it back, I had to earn it back. And if I didn't earn it back fast enough, it went to
Kids who would actually appreciate it.
I have spent my whole life wondering about these kids, these grateful children, the ones who are out there appreciating my things, because they ended up with an enormous percentage of my childhood. Hey, for all I know, maybe some of you out there are the kids she was talking about. So if you have a neon green shirt that says says I left my game to be here in a size extra large, yeah, I was a chubby kid, okay? Don't judge. But if you have that shirt, just know it may have been mine a decade ago. But the genuinely evil part was that she never told you what she'd taken. There was no list. You would just walk into your room and feel that it was slightly emptier without being able to say why. And then 3 days later, you'd reach for a specific shirt or that one toy and you would know it already went off to those mysterious, grateful children I'll never meet. And I have to give it to my mom. This was really smart because it forced me to become the cleanest kid ever. And that was the thing about her punishments. They were never really punishments. She'd just make you so scared of misbehaving that you never wanted to do it again, which is exactly what happened the day she left me at Target. Now let's be real. No one likes being forced to go shopping with your mom when you're a child. If you do, I just imagine you're probably a grown adult. I just be thinking you look something like this. But we have to stop because what I'm about to show you is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. This is 11 pages of information that some random companies claim to know about me. Apparently they have old addresses, phone numbers, relatives, emails, even stuff I genuinely don't remember ever giving anyone. The weirdest part is this isn't some government file or anything like that. It's information that's collected and sold by companies most people have never heard of. They're called data brokers and they're making billions by selling people's personal information. That's why this video is sponsored by Aura. Aura identifies the companies selling your personal information, automatically sends removal requests, and keeps working to remove you from new ones that pop up. There are other services that do parts of this too, but Aura packs in more protection for the price. One thing that stood out to me is their fraud alerts. Aura says they send them 650 times faster than competitors. So instead of finding out minutes later, you can know almost instantly. Aura is also a US-based company whose business is protecting your information, not monetizing it. Your personal information is encrypted and Aura doesn't sell it. The reality is your information could be getting bought and sold right now while you're watching this. I'm not leaving myself or my family vulnerable, and I don't think you should either. So go to aura.com/Tyler Vitelli or click the link in my description or pinned comment to start your 14-day free trial. Now back to the video. But the one thing that made going shopping with your parents not completely horrible was the demo PlayStation. If you don't know what that is, it looks like this. A PlayStation you can play for free in Walmart, Target, whatever store you're at. So whenever my mom went to Walmart and made me go with her, I would play that the whole time while she was shopping. And normally, when my mom finished, she would come get me and we'd leave. So we're at Walmart one day, I'm locked into this PlayStation, and this is right when Fortnite came out. And after about 30 minutes of playing, my mom tells me it's time to go. But if you can remember your first time playing Fortnite, you would know there was nothing more exciting and terrifying than being one of the final people alive in the game. And somehow, I'm one of the final 10 people left in my game. So I have to finish it. I had never won a Fortnite match at this point. So I say to my mom, just give me one more minute, mom, I'm almost done. But then one more minute turned to 5. So my mom just says she's leaving the store right now, whether I come or not. Obviously, I thought she was bluffing, and I keep playing my game. But after another 5 minutes, I lose the game, finishing third, and I look for my mom, but she's nowhere to be seen.
And I figured, okay, she just got in the car and is waiting there for me.
So I walk out to the parking lot, but I see something that makes my heart drop, because her car is no longer there. I still didn't believe she would have actually left me alone, so I check her location on my phone, and where was she? At home without me. Keep in mind, I'm about 13 years old at this time. So I call her, say I'm done playing my game, and ask if she can pick me up. And you know what she tells me?
Yeah, I'm not coming back to pick you up. You can walk home.
If my mom thought I could just walk home, we must have lived maybe half a mile or 1 mile at most away from this Walmart, right? Nope, we lived 3 miles away. So I ended up walking 3 miles, all because my Fortnite game went 5 minutes over time and I didn't even win it. And for a little tubby kid like me at the time, you might as well have made me walk from Chicago all the way to Illinois, because that's how long of a walk this felt. But that was what my mom would do. It was situations like this where she actually followed through on her threats, so that next time, if I wanted to stay longer to play video games, she knew I wouldn't because I was scared of the consequences. Which is exactly how I ended up in the worst trouble of my life. Because around that same age, I decided I wanted something she wasn't gonna fight me on at all. I wanted money. And every kid, at some point in their lives, finds out the spot where their mom keeps the cash in their house. It's never hidden well. It's either a jar, a drawer, a specific part of her purse, and once you find it, your brain does the math. There's a lot of cash in here. She couldn't possibly notice if I just took $1, right? She can't even remember to take me to baseball practice half the time. Surely she won't find out about this. So when I found the spot my mom hid her money, whenever I needed a couple of bucks, maybe to go to the movies or to do a money spread on my Instagram story, I started taking cash from my mom. Now, I do not condone this. You will get caught. Moms are always one step ahead. But I thought I was smart about it at the time, because I would never take too much. A couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, and I would never do it more than once a week. For weeks, it worked. I was basically robbing the bank, and my mom expected nothing. Or at least that's what I thought. Because what I didn't realize at the time time that I've learned about my mom as I've grown up is that when it comes to money, she does not forget. She always knows the exact amount she has at all times. So the first day I took a couple dollars from her, she knew. And when she found out about this, what did she do? Maybe ground me for 50 years, take away my electronics, starve me? No, she didn't. Well, no. Instead, she just started writing it down. Every dollar that vanished, every date it vanished on, quietly logging it, while she let me keep stealing. And unfortunately, the longer she let this go on, and the more I stole, the worse the punishment was gonna be. Because one day, I got greedy. I liked this girl at school, and she didn't like me back. But I thought I could make her like me by buying her a necklace. But I didn't have a job at that age. I mean, I still kind of don't have a job now. That's so sad. But anyways, I planned my riskiest heist yet. I was going to attempt to steal a $50 bill from my mom. And I did it. I got the money out of her drawer, and the next day, I was gonna spend it. But when my mom checked her cash and found out a whole $50 bill was gone, she decided that was it. So she finally confronted me about the money. I immediately apologized and cried because I knew whatever punishment was coming was gonna be bad. So I was trying to make her feel sad for me and go easy on me, but that did not work. Because what she made me do was pay her back, but not just the total amount I stole. No, she made me pay her back triple. It now went from me owing her about $90 to $270. But like I said, I wasn't old enough to have a job.
So how could I make this money to pay her
back? Well, that's when she told me I would have to work for it. I was now forced to do every job around the house. Cleaning the dishes, doing the laundry, even doing my siblings' laundry. And every time I did a task, I would be paid $10 for it that would go directly back to her. I was making less than a person in prison makes at their job. Now, stealing money from her was never gonna work. But how I tricked her in the story later on in this video is something I'm still proud of to this day. And this whole video has just been me talking about my mom's punishments on me. But I had two parents. So what was my dad like when it came to punishments? Well, he was either much better to deal with than my mom or much, much worse. Because every kid figures out pretty early that your parents will often disagree on things. So if you want to say, go to the amusement park with your friends, you'll ask the parent you think is more likely to let you go. And you won't even bother talking to the more strict one. It's a cheat code. And there was a time where I really wanted to go to Six Flags with my friends. Not because I actually cared about roller coasters, but because, once again, the girl I liked was gonna be there. It's actually kind of sad how much I bring up the girls I liked when I was younger, yet I've still never had a girlfriend. But I knew it was a long shot for my parents to let me go to Six Flags because this was the same day as my second cousin's wedding. Or maybe it was my third cousin. To be honest, who cares after the first cousin? But I didn't want to go to that. I wanted to go to Six Flags. So I go to my mom first, thinking she'll be the one to let me go because the wedding wasn't for her side of the family. But she gives me the worst possible answer, which isn't no. Instead, she says to me, ask your dad. And in my mind, that made things tricky because I already know what's going to happen when I ask my dad. So I go to him, ask the same question, expecting him to say no, but he responds back with something else. He says,
What did your mom say?
And right there, I froze for a second because the honest answer would have been,
She told me to ask you.
but if I left the choice completely up to him, he would not have let me go. So I told him,
Mom said she's fine with me going if you are.
my dad didn't want to seem like the mean parent, so he said,
Fine. If your mom said you can go, you can go.
I thought this would be the end of it and they would just let me go. What I never thought is that they would have communicated with each other about this. So a day after I got cleared to go to Six Flags, my parents both come into my room together, which is never a good thing. And my mom asks me,
Tyler, when you asked me if you could go to Six Flags, what did I say?
ask your dad?
Correct. So why did you tell your father that I said you could go?
Cause I thought that's basically what you meant.
Tyler, you're not going to Six Flags.
Yeah, I know. So there was no tricking my parents against each other. This meant I couldn't trick my mom, I couldn't steal from her, I couldn't out-negotiate her, but what I still hadn't learned, what no kid ever learns until it's far too late, is that I couldn't lie to her either. Even with a plan I was sure was absolutely perfect. Because every kid eventually attempts the friend's house lie. You tell your parents you're staying the night at your friend's, but your friend says they're staying the night at your house. And what you actually do is go somewhere you're not supposed to go at all. It's just a way of you guys both tricking your parents into thinking you'll be safe. So me and my friend both did this one night. We created an alibi for one another, while in reality, we were actually an hour away at another person's house who was throwing a party, and we weren't gonna get home until about 3 a.m. Both sets of parents fully believed we were at our friend's house, just there for a sleepover. There was no holes in our plan. When we got to the party, it was everything we'd hoped for. We were having a ton of fun, and when it was time to leave, we had one of the older kids drive us home. But I got dropped off first, and when we pulled up to my house, I noticed something. There was a another car parked in our driveway. But it wasn't just any car. No, it was my friend's mom's car. We knew right there that both our parents were inside my house. We just accepted that we were cooked. We opened the front door and all four parents were sitting in the living room together. They were just waiting for us to get back the whole night. Because the one variable us two geniuses did not account for was that the parents talked to each other. One mom picks up the phone, calls the other,
Hey, Karen, how are the boys getting along?
and the other parent responds with,
You tell me. They're at your house.
and from there, you lost. So, how did our parents deal with us lying to them? They made us both volunteer at the soup kitchen for a week straight, which honestly sounded boring at first, but yeah, no, it was pretty boring. It did feel good to do community service though. And by this point, you'd think I would have learned the lesson that was being taught to me on a loop. You can't trick your mom. She sees everything. They count everything. They remember everything. There is no winning. And moms become even more terrifying on one particular day of the year.
Report card day.
You can feel it sitting in your future like a court date. No one looks forward to this day, especially if you had bad grades. And since I did, I came up with a brilliant idea.
What if my mom just
Never sees.
my report card?
Now, I didn't have the greatest grades when I was younger because I had bigger things in life I was working towards. Like, well, for example, nothing. I was just dumb, to be honest. But my report card would always get mailed to our house. So I was thinking, hey, mail gets lost all the time. Who's to say this one specific envelope has to complete its whole journey to our house? So I had a plan. I knew the day my report card would come. So all I had to do was get to it before my mom did. So when it came, I took it out of the mailbox right away and made it disappear before it could ever reach my mom. And for about 3 days, I thought I got away with it. Until my mom asked me why my report card hadn't come in yet when she was talking to other parents who said they already got their kids. I told her I had no idea why it didn't come. And my mom just went,
It's okay. I'll just go to your school and get a physical copy of your report card.
obviously, I couldn't let that happen. So I upgraded to an actual plan. I was gonna fix the report card. I was thinking,
How hard could this be?
I just needed to change a couple letters on a piece of paper. So I picked up a pen, went in to change my report card, and immediately discovered how much harder this would be than I thought. It was just way too obviously fake if I wrote over it with pen. So instead, I made my own fake report card online. I printed that out and I showed it to her. I literally gave myself all A's except for one class because you can't make it too obvious. And I was expecting her to be super excited when I showed her this. But instead, she took one look at my grades and went,
Okay.
and she walked away. That was good enough for me though, because in that moment, I thought I tricked her. Here's what I didn't know. My mom called the school already when she realized my report card didn't come in on time. So she knew the real grades I got, which meant she knew the second I handed her my report card that it was fake. But wait, when I gave that to her, why didn't she confront me for lying about my report card? Well, it turns out she outsmarted me again. Because for every day that I didn't tell her the truth about my report card, that was another week she would ground me. And it took 4 days before I felt so guilty that I admitted to her what I did. Then when I finally told her I forged my report card, she didn't get mad. She just told me I wasn't allowed to hang out with friends or play my PlayStation for 4 weeks. Honestly, that was probably good for me. It forced me to get over my phone addiction. And that was also when it finally hit me for the first time. I was never going to win. My mom was always 2 steps ahead of me. She saw everything. She knew everything. She remembered everything. She would lie under a bed for an entire night just to prove a point. For my whole childhood, this woman beat me at every single thing I ever tried to do. Except for once. There was exactly one thing I did growing up that she never caught. One battle I actually won. And to this day, I've never told her about it. But right now, that all changes. Because every year, when Christmas came around, the one thing you always want to do is find out what presents you got. You don't want to wait till the actual day of Christmas comes. And when I was about 8 years old, I found out that my mom hides all the presents in the attic of our house. So whenever she was distracted, I would climb into the attic and get a peek at what presents they got me. Every single December, I would do this, weeks before Christmas. I knew exactly what I was getting before I ever touched a single piece of wrapping paper. And when the day of Christmas would actually come, I'd have to pretend I had no idea what the presents I was getting were.
Oh my gosh, new headphones! What? I never knew I was gonna get these. Thank you, Mom.
And somehow, this was the one thing my mom never caught me doing. So today, I'm finally gonna tell my mom the truth. Hey mom,
Yeah?
I have something to tell you.
What?
So when I was younger, I knew that you hid the Christmas presents in the attic. So I would go into the attic and look at all the Christmas presents weeks before the day of Christmas. So I knew exactly what you got me way before Christmas Day ever happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Tyler?
What? What are you doing? Hey, don't throw your shoe at me. Okay, guys, I gotta end the video because she's gonna start throwing stuff at me. Bye.